So guys, welcome to this module. And in this module, we'll be talking about keyframing and animation basics. Keyframing and animation basics. So to explain that, first of all, what is keyframing? Keyframing is just, you know, we've been talking about adding presets and adding transitions to our videos and our audios and our text. Yeah, but now using the presets that are given to you by Premiere Pro all the time can make you like a boring creative. As a creative, you just want to do things by yourself, kind of, create things by yourself. So that is where keyframing comes in. You get to create your own transition, you get to create your own blurring, you get to create your own fading in and fading out. Very interesting. What is keyframing? Keyframing is just like a bookmark in your video where you tell Premiere Pro, at this exact point, I want my video to do this. And then you move to another point and you say, at this exact point, I want my video to do this. So what Premiere Pro does is it creates a flow between the beginning of what you asked it to do and the ending of what you asked it to do. Okay, to make it more clear to you, keyframing is just like saying, okay, at this point of this video, I want the size of my text to be this small. And at this point, and then you move forward or you move backward, whichever one, and you move forward and you say, you tell Premiere Pro again, at this point of the video, I want my video to be this big. So when you play it from the beginning, you will see that your text is zooming in. Same with opacity. You want your text to fade in. You will tell Premiere Pro, at this point, I want my text to, not be so clear. And at this point, I want my text to be very clear. Keyframing does not just only apply to your text. Can apply to your videos. Anything that you put into your timeline, you can always keyframe. Do you understand? You can always keyframe. So it just makes you to be able to express your creativity. So without further ado, let's begin. So first of all, let me just bring in a video into one of our videos into my Premiere Pro. So let's just bring in one of the videos. Don't really need the sound, so just to explain the point of the keyframing. So here is my video. The first thing that I want to show you is how to make your text to fade in and to fade out. Interesting, right? Okay, so let's first add our text to our video. So come here, we'll put in our text. So edit your text as like I've explained to you in the previous module. You edit it, can give it shadow to make it stand out on whatever background it is staying on. I will change the font to my font that I love. I will reduce the size because it's quite big. Centralize it and boom, ready to go. So now at this point in time of this video, it is clear the opacity is 100%. So now I want it to fade in from like it is not visible to very visible. That is how I want my text to be. So where do I do that? I will do this in my effect control panel, and this is my effect control panel. You can see it right here, my effect control. If you want to change your go around, change your text or something, anything about your this particular panel, there are a lot of things that happens there. It could show your text or whatever it may be, but you can always change it to your effects control panel here in this arrow. So I've changed it to my effects control panel just in case you cannot find your effects control or you're confused. Where is effects control? It is right here. Just click on this arrow and search through it and you find the effects control. So you click on your text, right? But before you move there, you come down here to this effects panel, right? Come here, effect, search for transform. You drag your transform onto your text. Interesting. So now we can edit our text as we want. So I've dragged my transform. So under transform, you can see we have anchor point, position, scale, rotation, opacity, scale, shutter angle. All of this we can use it to edit our text as we want to. So interesting. So now I want my text to fade in, right? So I'm going to come to opacity. Now this is your effects control panel, and this is where your keyframing happens. This is like the engine, the power room of keyframing, right? You can do a lot of things here, a lot of powerful things, right here in your effects control panel. So you can see a lot of things. You see anchor point, you see your text, you see this text in front of it, you see your position, and you're like, what is all this? Okay, so now for you to keyframe, you can see this stopwatch kind of, yes, this stopwatch like icon, this stopwatch icon beside the text. It is very, very necessary for you to click on that stopwatch before you begin to keyframe. If you do not keyframe, if you do not click on that stopwatch, keyframing won't happen. Yes, keyframing will not happen. So it is very important for you to click on that stopwatch before you start. So take for example, I want my text to fade in. So where is that going to come in? I'm going to work on opacity. So I'm going to click on the stopwatch beside opacity. So now you're telling Premiere Pro, okay, I want to work on opacity. Or take for example, I want my text to zoom in. That is what talking about size. Talking about size, I want to be this particular size before, and I want it to be this particular size later. That is size. So that on that you are going to click on your scale. You're going to click on the stopwatch beside your scale. Do you understand? And also, if I want my text to move across my screen, yeah, if I want it to move across my screen, that is position. At a particular point, I want my text to be at this particular position, and at the other point, at another point in time, I want my text to be at this particular position. That is keyframing. So for now, I'm going to be talking about about opacity now, because I want it to fade in. So I already clicked at the beginning of my video, right? At the beginning of my video, the beginning of not video, at the beginning of the text where the text is showing, right? I want my text to be so at the beginning you need to keyframe it. At the beginning of what you want to say, you need to keyframe it, and keyframe it by clicking on that stopwatch. So now you are telling it is 100. At the beginning of my text, you are telling Premiere Pro, I want my text to be at the opacity of my text to be at 100. Now that means that your text will be very, very clear, like completely visible. But if I want to tell it at the beginning of the text, because I want it to fade in, I want my text to not be visible. So that means that your opacity needs to be on zero, right? So I am going to put I'm going to reduce it and drag it down to 0. Or you can always double click on it and type what you want there, but you can also drag it down. So at the beginning, I want it to be 0. So if you observe on your screen, you won't see your text any longer. It is no longer, it is there, yes, but it is no longer visible because I already reduced the opacity to 0, right? So now at this point in time, I'm going to drag my blue play head rather, drag it to like how many seconds? Let's make it 20 seconds of the video. At the 20th second, this is where I know that I'm at the 20th second. You can see it counts your time in this place. So at the 20th second, I want my text to show. I want my text to be very visible. So I'll just come to opacity and I'll drag it forward to 100%. And you can see that your text is now at 100, like it is now visible. So now let's see how Premiere Pro will help you to fill in the gap between your 0 and your 100, how it's going to look like. So let's play it. Can you see? Can you see that? But right now that looks very because it is very short. So I mean, it's not really, the time between it is very short. So I want to adjust the time. I don't like the duration between my the visibility of the invisibility of my screen of my text and the visibility of my text. So I want to increase the duration. So what do? I will come to this place again. Yes, my effect control panel. Now you can see this blue play head. If I drag my blue play head, you can see that it is also changing in this place. It is also moving here. I'm dragging it right here, but yet you can see it moving up here too. Yes. So this place is just like the keyframe part, like the keyframing part of your timeline. You can view your timeline right here. Yes. Also that you can keyframe. So what I will do is, you can see these diamond like things here. You can see that, yeah, these diamond like shapes here, they are very small here. You need to be observant to be able to see them. Those are your keyframes. So you observe that first one, the first diamond over there, if I drag it down there, that is the first keyframe. That is showing me my first keyframe, that okay, that is where I reduce the that is where I have, reduced the opacity. That is where I have, pardon, that is where the visibility, my text is not visible. At that point, my text is not visible. But now, at this point in time, at this particular point here, my text is totally visible. So if I want to increase the duration between that time, I mean, it's too short. I want it to take time before it is completely visible. So what I will do is to come to this place where it is telling me 100%. I will just simply drag it forward. Can you see? I will drag it forward. And if I now play it now from beginning, I come here, I drag it to the beginning, and I play it. You see that it will take time before it completely shows. Can you see that? It takes time before it completely shows. Very good. Very good. So now you have that. We have now increased the length of the duration of the opacity of our text. So that's that. It's as simple as that. So you can always apply this to whatever you want, to your text, to your shapes, to probably any image that you bring into Premiere Pro. You can always apply it. It's that simple, very simple. So let's try and move the text across the screen instead of just making it fade in. Let's move it across the screen. But this time, don't let us use text. Let's use a shape. Let's use a shape. So I'll be deleting this text. Let me delete this text. So I want a shape. Let me just draw a circle, an ellipse shape. So I came here to my toolbox. I pressed down the shapes, and that was how I clicked. You can see the rectangle tool. You can see the ellipse tool. You can see the polygon tool. So I will click on the ellipse tool, and then I'm going to draw my shape. And you can see, without see the shape it is not balanced this way. So in order to make the shape balanced, I'm just going to going to hold down on shift as I'm drawing my shape, and I'm going to draw it. So now you can see that it has equal shapes, equal size. So I'm going to click it and drop it. So now I have my shape. I can always drag it to where I want. Like I said, you can always edit your shape too. So you come down to effects here. You come down to essential graphics, edit your shape. I don't like this color. Let's make it white so that we can see it very well. Let's make it white. I want to reduce the size of my circle. It's quite big. So let me just give it shadow to just make it look more real. So now I want my text to move, my shape to like bounce in, and then bounce out. So it's going to come into my screen, come in, and then come out. So as I'm talking about it, I want you to begin to reason it, to think about it. How do I go about that? What keyframing am I going to be using there? Which keyframe, right? Am I going to be using position or opacity? Which one am I, or scale? Which one am I using? Yes, you are very right. I'm going to be using the position keyframe, the position keyframe. So first of all, I am going to drag my shape outside of my screen there, so that it's going to start from there, enter into my screen, and then go back outside. You will understand better as we are working on it. So now this is my circle. So at this point in time where the blue player is, you can see the blue player at this point in time, I don't want my shape to be here. I want my shape to be outside of my screen, because I want it to come outside of the frame, inside of the frame. If I say screen or frame, I'm talking about the same thing. So I want it to come outside and come inside. So what do? I am going to, first of all, do not forget, click on the stopwatch beside whatever you want to do. So for the position, I'm going to be working on position here. So I'm going to click on it. And once I clicked on it, you can see it is now showing, it has now turned to blue. Everything has turned, it has turned to blue. So now it's telling me that at this position, my x-axis, it is on 640, and then my y-axis, my circle is on 360. So now I want you to go I want you to go down, right? I want you to come from down, then come to the center, and then go back down again. So what do? I am going to increase the y-axis, not reduce it, because I want it to go down. I want it to go down. I want to increase it. So I will increase my y-axis, so it will go out of the frame. So I'm telling Premiere Pro, at this point in time, I want my shape, my circle, to come from outside. So now at this point, it is no longer inside my frame. So what I would do is move my blue playhead, move it forward a bit. So at this point, I want my circle to be at the center of the screen. So what would I do? I would bring it back inside by reducing my y-axis. Yes, so now I've brought it back to the center. So at this point, it is here. Do you understand? So then for a while, I want my shape to show for a while. Okay, I want it to show for a while so people will see it. So I will come here, move my blue playhead for a while, right? Move my blue playhead for a while. Then I'm going to click on this place, because it is still that same point I want it to be. So what I will do is just like adding to it. Do you see? Add or remove your keyframe. So I want to add to that keyframe right in that same position. I am not going to tamper with that position because I want it in that same position. So I'm going to come here, add my keyframe. So once I add my keyframe, this diamond shape shows up. Yes, so I've added my keyframe. So now from this point to this point, I want my shape to go outside of the screen. I want it outside of the screen. So what I will do is, I am still working on the vertical part of the position. So I'm still working on the y-axis. So what I will do is to increase my y-axis so it goes out of the frame. So if we play it, you would see what that will give us. So you see, interesting. So now I want to just teach us one hack. It's just like an hack, because now it looks, yeah, it's okay though, but to me, there is more that we could add to it so that it can look smooth and realistic. So it can look smooth and realistic. What I want us to do is something I call the ease in and the ease out technique. Now this ease in and ease out, it makes it to just look more appealing, more smooth, more real, compared to just the boring just the way it just comes in and just goes out. So what I will do is these two keyframes, I'm going to highlight the both of them. After highlighting them, I will right click, temporal interpolation, then go down to easing. Then I'll do the same thing again, right click again, temporal interpolation, ease out. I'll do the same thing for the rest of the two keyframes. Highlight them, right click, temporal interpolation, easing. Then again, right click, temporal interpolation, ease out. So let's watch our video now. So you can see how that happens. You can animate anything by yourself, anything. Okay, so now we have our shape coming in and coming out. Interesting, very interesting. So now we've learned how to, first of all, how to fade objects in, or text, or whatever it may be. Then also we've learned how to move anything across the screen, either shapes or whatever, maybe from the left to the right, or from the top to the bottom of your screen. Any way you want it, you can now do it for yourself. Just explore, you're creative, just explore, and you will see how far you can go with editing. So lastly, on this keyframing, I want to show you how to make your objects to zoom in and to zoom out. And this time I am going to be using the video. I'm going to be using the video. So what do? I'm going to delete this text. So to zoom in and to zoom out, first of all, don't forget, add your transform to whatever you want to work on. So I'm going to drag my transform onto my video. I want my video to be transformed. So what do? I am going to come. So when I said zooming in and out, of course we are going to be working on the size, and that's the scale here. We're talking about the scale. We're going to be working on the size here. So we come down to transform here, right? You would keyframe your scale. So I'm on the Premiere Pro at this point in time. I want my video to be so small, right? So I am going to reduce it, make it very small, right? I'm going to make it very small. So now at this point of my video, I want it to be very big, right? I want it to be very big. Okay, and then at this point in of my screen, of my video rather, I want my video to be on the normal size, and that is 100. So I'm going to drag it down to 100, or instead of the space, you can always type it in, right? So I'll just type it in, just to stop pressing 100, enter. So there I have my video. So I'll just do what I showed you the other time, ease in and ease out. So come here, ease in, ease out, right? So then you have your video like that. And I'll come down here to my shutter angle. I'm going to make my shutter angle to be, from beginning, to be 360 degrees, right? So let's watch our video. It gives this reality to your video, you know, it just gives it this blur kind of thing. Right, so you can see that. So now you can increase the size of your shape, your text, your video. You can make your text or your video to also blur. If you want to blur it, there is also the function of blurriness there. You can always reduce the opacity as much as you want. You can do with your Premiere Pro. It's very interesting what you can do with your Premiere Pro. So last thing I want to teach you here is how to copy and paste your effects, your keyframing effects. Say for example, you have a lot of video clips down there and you want to apply the same effect to all of the video clips, it depends on the project you're working on, but you could have a lot of video clips there, and you're like, oh my god, am I going to start adding these same effects one by one to my video clips? No, you don't have to do that. So let me show you how to do that. So to these video clips, I already added, I've already done everything I want to do to it. So what I'll just do is to let me drag this, put this same video here. So this video doesn't have this effect, the same effect that this has. It doesn't have, right? But I wanted to have this same effect without having to start putting, start editing it over again. So what I will do is to come here, click on this keyframed um, video. This one I've already keyframed. I'm going to come here, click on it, and I am going to come to transform over here. So here is transform, right? So I am going to right click and then I'll copy it. So then I'll come here, right, and then I'm going to press Control V. So as I've done that, I have copied the same effect that was on that transform inside the first clip to this clip. So now let's watch it. Can you see that the same effect that was in the first clip has now been pasted on the second clip without any stress of just copying it one by one? As simple as that. So thank you for watching and for listening throughout this module. I believe that you have gained a lot under this particular module, which is called keyframing and animation basics. With this knowledge, you can animate almost anything by yourself. You can animate anything by yourself. So join me in the next class and let's keep learning. Bye.